Good afternoon, everyone. I am Erica Burt, Director of Professional and Academic Programs here at the College of Computing for Illinois Tech. We are excited to have you here for our Women in Tech, the Power of Mentorship and the Power of Sponsorship discussion. We believe that this conversation is needed and to be repeated more than likely. We want to thank you all for joining us today. We know that we have plenty of people who registered throughout Chicago from other states. We have our university partners, our city college partners. We have people who are entrepreneurs and a variety of tech experts joining us. And a lot of people who are just interested to find out how women can receive mentorship and sponsorship for their tech careers and what the difference is and what this means to everyone. So before we get started, we are still letting people in from the wait room. So if you have colleagues who are joining, if you want to nudge them and tell them to come on in, we will gladly accept them in. I want to go over a few housekeeping rules. One, we know that there are plenty of questions and we got all of the questions from your registration forms. We will also still monitor the chat. We will do our best to answer all of the questions that we can. But if in the event we do not get to your question, you may feel free to reach out to myself, and you can just reach out to us in general and we will work with you. At the end of our time today, you will receive a link for the post-event survey. And we want you to give us feedback. Let us know what you loved about this experience or what you were hoping for and ways that we can improve if there are any. Also on that form, you can let us know if you want to talk to someone about our courses, our programs, our certificates that we offer through the College of Computing. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for today, Dr. Cindy Hood, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering here at Illinois Tech. Cindy is a director of the Wireless Network Communication Policy Center, and her research focuses on artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques to automate the analysis and understanding of large data sets. Cindy's other research interests include spectrum management, socio-technical systems, and computing and public policy. She currently serves on the Science, Technology, and Environment Advisory Council for U.S. Representative Lauren Underwood. Cindy is passionate about increasing diversity in computing and serves as faculty advisor for the Illinois Tech ACMW chapter. She received the NSF Career Award, and Cindy will be a Fulbright Scholar in Poland come 2023. So without further ado, I turn it over to Cindy.
Thank you, Erica. I am really excited to be here to moderate this panel on such an important topic, and we have a very distinguished panel. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panel. So I'd like each panelist to take about a minute to tell us about themselves, and I'm going to start with Angela Reed. Angela is Strategic Technology Project Manager at Feeding America. Angela?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am based in Chicago, Illinois. As mentioned, I am project manager with Feeding America. I have been fortunate enough to have a diverse history in regards to technology. So I am experienced with database management, system administration and training, as well as data governance, data analytics, and doing what I'm doing now, which is technology project implementation. I have a passion for cross-functional collaboration, as well as doing what I can do to contribute to an inclusive workplace culture. So I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Our next panelist is Bik Thuy Lee, Global Head of Data Science, Engineering, and Innovation. Bik Thuy.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I've always wanted to be a computer science engineer since I was 12 years old. So I was lucky enough to be in a management consulting company where I was exposed to multiple different types of what is now called digital transformation, meaning leveraging leading edge technology and trying to make it, take it to the next company, to the next level and meet their business goals. But the fortunate thing about myself is that by being in those projects, I actually get to implement those. So we're not just talking about strategy, actually how to take that strategy and move it to reality. So now when I go in and look at the modern technologies such as AI, IoT and all of that, I understand what it takes to, is it legible, is it credible now, and whether we can take it and how can we make it happen.
Thank you, Bik Thuy. Our next panelist is Uma Velachamy. Uma is Software Engineering Manager at Climate LLC. Uma?
Hi, I'm an engineering manager at Climate. I was born and raised in India. I did my undergrad and MBA in India, and my first job was through campus interview. And after a year and a half of working in the banking sector, I moved to the United States. And after taking some refreshing courses in programming languages, it paved a path for a tech career. And I also did my master's while working full-time at Illinois Institute of Technology and graduated in 2003. And after a career break of nearly 10 years, I revived my career in 2013. And here I am. I appreciate this opportunity to be in this panel today. Looking forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Uma. Our next panelist is Nika Yushak, Business Data Analyst at Intuit.
Hi, everyone. So I started my career after graduating aerospace engineering at Purdue in the industry I went to school for, but quickly realized the parts I liked about being an engineer were really the data science parts and the analytics parts. So I pivoted to a career in analytics and started at GoGo in-flight internet here in Chicago. Then later moved to Hillrom, where I was the senior manager of analytics. And currently I am a staff analyst at Intuit, where I provide analytics and insight for the fraud and risk team.
Great, thank you, Nika. And our last panel is Illinois Tech's own CS student, Andrea Ocampo. Andrea is on the College of Computing Student Council, a certified peer mentor and vice president of Go Run IIT. Andrea?
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Andrea. I'm a fourth year computer science student here at Illinois Tech, and I got into technology at a really young age. And as I learned more, I realized how important it was to help others and have someone to look up to. So that became kind of my passion. And in the field, I just want to become someone that I could have looked up to when I was learning CS and being in tech. So I'm really excited to be on this panel. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Great, thanks. We have an amazing panel, as you can all now see. I'd like to start out just by defining what is mentorship and what is sponsorship and what's the difference between the two. Who'd like to jump in?
I can start. So actually, Big Twee was my first real mentor in my career, and I started for this program called with Chicago Innovation, a woman mentorship co-op, and was partnered with her. And she really taught me that these are two different things, mentorship and sponsorship. And that's the first time I ever really thought about it. So for me, mentorship is more about learning, and it's more about getting guidance and advice and really having that path for you, understanding what you need to do, how you need to do it. But sponsorship, on the other hand, that's helping advance your career. That's someone that's helping you actually move forward and endorse you to achieve those goals.
Great. Any other panelists want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to say that I was very actually honored to have Nika as my mentee, because not only did she remind me of why I'm so excited about the area of technology, so she gave me all of that motivations for myself in my own career. But one of the key things about mentorship and sponsorship is that mentorship doesn't have to be somebody who is higher ranking you. It could be your peer, it could be your friends. It actually could be somebody who's below your level, because it's all about helping each other, giving that insight to help you with your career and getting that extra, the big, the bad, the ugly type of situations, and how do you navigate that, and having different perspectives is very important. The sponsorship is usually from somebody who is in the power of authority and influence who can help advocate you, because a lot of women, once they hit like middle management, for an example, they have a hard time trying to crack into that executive suite. And that's where sponsorship becomes very important, because they're the one who has the power and the influence to be able to be your advocate, especially behind closed door, open up opportunities for you, and also defend you at the same time. So that is really the key important difference that between the mentorship and the sponsorship. And it's unlike mentorship that can, sponsorship needs to grow organically. They need to trust you because their reputation is also tied behind your name with the people that they're trying to advocate. So it's something that you have to build over time. It's not just, hey, can you be my mentor, or can I just get this advice?
So great lead into the next question is, do you have tips for getting a mentor or a sponsor?
One thing that I found very useful, I've been very fortunate. I like how it was put that a mentor isn't always someone who's a peer or above you, but it can even be someone below you. One key factor is in regards to building relationships. As you build relationships, you speak with others, you find out things that you two may have in common. You identify ways that you would like to grow and develop, or areas you struggle with. And in those conversations, then that is where you're also able to see how the other person can be able to help you be able to move past those hurdles that you may actually have. So building relationships is one key area. And sometimes it's not about a personal relationship, but even within your organization, of being cross-functional and working with other teams, so that then you can say, you know what, this is something I'm interested in. And I've just simply spoken to others and asked, you know what, this is something that this is an area I would like to move in, or this is something I struggle with, or this is something I would like assistance with. And you'd be surprised at how people are willing to help you, because in the end, while we're helping others, it's helping us as well.
And there are also formal mentoring programs in corporations sometimes we may not be aware of. So leveraging those would be of great help.
Great. And I'm wondering, maybe Andrea, do you have any suggestions for getting mentors when you're in college, or for women in high school?
Yeah, definitely. I actually took advantage of the mentors in industry, because through my internship, I was given a mentor that helped me like learn and grow. And in high school, I know that in college, there's the mentorship program that I'm actually a part of, which is the Certified Peer Mentor Group. And that's a great group. Just like, I think that having like looking for your peers towards mentorship has been really important to me for college. And I always look at my peers and see how they can help me out with my classes and how to further what I'm interested in. And I think that just looking for those opportunities is really important. And I know that Illinois Tech has a lot of those opportunities.
Fantastic. This question is going to go to all panelists. But I'm going to start with Angela. What I'm interested in is, what's the greatest thing that you've gotten out of mentoring?
The greatest thing I've gotten out of mentoring is finding my voice. Being a Black woman in technology, there have been many roadblocks that have been placed, and many times after coming to realize they were ones that I allowed, or that I set within myself, just in regards to what you encounter as you're moving about. And so the great thing with mentoring is that people saw in me what I didn't see. And that allowed me to be able to recognize my passion, not only for technology and wanting to advance instead of being stagnant where I was, but also my passion for wanting to be able to use my voice and say, you know what, I have things that need to be said and I want to be heard, and thus then giving that back to others and helping them do the same. So that is the greatest gift that I've received from mentorship.
Thank you. Nika?
This is a tough one. I really relate to everything Angela said because it did also help me find my voice. And we've actually talked about this because sometimes it's difficult and it doesn't mean that you're shy or anything, but it can be just that you don't want to talk over people, or there's so many different reasons why you don't, and then having that voice and knowing how to use it, that's really powerful. But one of the biggest things for me is really knowing what I want and what possibilities are out there for me, and knowing what I have to do next in order to meet my goals. So defining the goals and then knowing what I need to do to get there. That's really the best thing that it taught me in terms of my career. And once I started the mentorship programs, once I found mentors, I found sponsors, right? It was like a natural progression. And it really did help me accelerate my career. One thing that I also didn't expect to gain out of it or learn from it is the value of being a mentor and giving back. I always wondered why be a mentor, but it's so rewarding. And now being on the other side, and progressing from mentee to mentor in some cases, it really is very rewarding. So that was something unexpected.
Great, thank you. Andrea?
So the greatest thing that I got from having my mentor was having a sense of accomplishment and belonging, because I knew that I had someone to help me and support me to achieve my goals, especially since I'm early in my career. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm interested in, what I want to do, what's out there for me. And having a mentor is just the support that I needed to feel like I belonged and continue with my career. So it's a great feeling.
Great. Uma?
Yeah, I've been a mentor as well as a mentee. The greatest thing I got out of that relationship is that I need to reflect on myself, need to know what I want, where I want to go. I think early on when I was a mentee, not having that clarity actually kind of hindered my own growth. But once I started to leverage the opportunity, it actually helped me reflect more. And I think being a mentor also gave me a better perspective, and meeting others who had different needs and who they were looking for different things in their career, and that kind of just enhanced my perspective. So I really enjoy being part of that relationship.
Thanks. I'm really loving that everyone is talking about being both a mentee and a mentor. And finally, Vic Tweed, do you want to add your thoughts?
Sure. I enjoy being a mentee because it allows me to have someone who's a sounding board, because sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy, and I do leverage all 360 of them to get different perspective, and it helps me to be a better rounded person. But one of, I think, the best thing that I've ever done actually is be a mentor. And the reasons for that is because, it's one of the things that as a leader, and when you have teams, you always wonder if the feedback that they're giving you, how, it's what is it that they're not telling you, right? So one of the things that I want to do as a mentor is to understand, especially those who are, have to climb up the ladder, and say, what are the difficulties? What is it about the workplace? And then try to reflect, how can I be a better leader, taking back what I've learned in their difficulties? So an experience that I was having at Get Cities, I was just there, and a student who is a foreign student, and she's trying to break into the technology field. And one of the questions I asked her was you know what? Answer this question for me, for your generation, the Gen Z generation. And if you can maybe speak what have you heard from your friends when you work in a company, what frustrates you the most? And she tells me the companies have very set ideas of what it is they want to do and how they want to do it. And she finds that very frustrating because they have different ideas of how to do things. And that reminds me of myself. It's very frustrating when somebody tells me how to do something instead of telling me what it is that I need to build. So I can take that back and then build hopefully a better team by making sure that I have that in mind. So it can also be a tool for us to be better leaders.
Thank you. One of the things we're all coping with now, and including right now, is the virtual world. So what I'm interested in hearing now are your thoughts on mentoring in person. What is versus being virtual, and what is the best way to mentor or receive mentorship virtually? Vic Tweed, do you want to start with that one?
Sure. It's actually a mixed bag because on one hand, I personally like to have that relationship in person because you can get a lot more of the body language. You actually build a relationship with the closeness faster in person. That's my experience. However, the nice thing about doing it virtually is that it allows me to be able to be more available, more flexible, because sometimes you can't meet in person. So next thing you know, it's like 6 weeks later or 2 months later, or maybe even a year later, and we never get together. However, by being able to do it virtually, I can be flexible. And a lot of times especially when I go to some of these events, all of a sudden I get several people asking me to be their mentor, and I can easily say, yes, I can, even though you might be in a different city or someplace that's harder in different locations. So I think that is actually a great benefit.
Great, thanks. Andrea, can you provide us with a student perspective on that question?
Yeah, I have this perspective of also being a mentor and trying to stay in touch with my mentor. Through the program that I'm in, I have my calendar. Any student that wants to set up a meeting with me can set up a meeting with me virtually through the calendar. Sometimes they do request to be in person, and I also like meeting with them in person. And it's a different experience being with them in person versus virtually. But as mentioned, the virtual layout does make me more available for all the students. And as I'm trying to reach out and to potential mentors, I really like looking through LinkedIn, through people that have gone to IIT as well. And also just keeping in touch with my mentor from over the summer, just quick messages or an email of updates on how I'm doing and how it was related to something that we've talked about before. And I always like to keep it relevant so that it doesn't really come out of nowhere. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Great, thank you. One of the things, it's so nice to see all the attendees, and it's nice to see a variety of names. It looks like we have both female identifying folks as well as male identifying folks. So one of the questions that I'm interested in hearing about is how does gender play into the mentorship or sponsorship relationship? Should you find a mentor of your same gender? Should you try to match up, or what is the approach? Angela, do you want to start with that?
Yes, thank you. I have mentors of male and female of both genders, and I find it very beneficial because one of my mentors always says all of one thing isn't a good thing. And it's a male who says that. And I really like it because we need that diversity. Diversity isn't just about ethnicity. Some of my mentors are even not within the technology field, but they're still able to give a perspective that maybe we as a female do not know. They can share this is the best way. This is maybe a blocker from you being able to move forward. This is how men see certain things that are done or said. We need that because we need that. We need a woman because there's just certain guards we can let down and we can be free and she can understand, but we also need someone who is not of the same gender because that gives us the full circle of feedback, instead of it just being about one-sided views.
Great. Anyone else want to add anything to that one?
I think Angela hit it on the head in terms of we need to get that full perspective, right? And despite what we want to say, I always say that I want equal respect and opportunity, but I am a woman and research shows that we do think and behave differently. And one of the research shows that, for example, when men goes in to talk to their mentor, they tend to talk about how can I advance in my career, whereas women is like, how can I build a better relationship, right? Two very different types of questions. And then, if you think about like, how do you get a sponsorship? To get a sponsorship, you need to show performance. Okay, we can all do that. You need to get exposure. We kind of all know that. But the key thing too is like how to get visible, and then how you have to have a career goal as well as share that career goal, right? So you can't go in and talk to somebody, and even with your mentor or sponsorship, you need to explain to them what it is that I'm trying to achieve and what it is that I need from you to help me get there, right? Maybe not saying that so many words, but that is a different perspective that you need from both men and women.
Great, thank you. I mean, one of the things I want to bring up here is that many of these questions are questions that have been submitted by the audience. So thank you for all your great questions. And continuing on that line, one of the questions that we had was, how can male identified colleagues support their female identified colleagues? Uma, do you want to take this one first?
Sure. Yeah. It would actually help to show that they are supportive of, they're actually supportive of a work culture that supports gender equality and gender inclusiveness. So once they provide that support or show that interest, I think that would be the first step.
Great. Anyone have anything to add?
Yeah, for me, I'm always the type of person in meetings that I really like to listen and hear what other people have to say. But I have noticed that in certain work teams, cultures, there's like this trend where some people, the loudest voice wins, right? There's interruptions and all of that. And it makes it so much more difficult in the virtual world. So one piece of advice or one way to support would be to allow women to speak and give them the opportunity to talk and not have this competition of, who's the loudest. Because I think it's also a trend that women tend to be more of the listening and, empathetic types of I think that one, it's not very obvious, but it would go a long way to help.
Great.
I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to say one thing in harmony with what Nika said. Another way that a male can help is by noticing those who may not use their voice and encourage them. I have a male mentor at my current organization. He said, I didn't realize I was a mentor, but he is. I look at him as a mentor, and because he will say in a meeting, because as Nika said, sometimes, and there's a lot of talk going, especially with being a part of a group of very smart, very experienced technology experts. And so I'm a little hesitant sometimes. And he will ping me during a meeting and say, do you have any thoughts? What do you have to say? I know you have something to say. And that has so many times led to me going ahead and having input during a meeting, just him seeing and recognizing. And so people underestimate how powerful it is with just you encouraging a person. And that is something that males can do. That would be a big help.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
This is, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing I'd like to add on to that is I like to take this one step further in terms of like, it's not just between men and women, but in general. Like we need to step back and think about like, if you're not familiar with it, look up the word unconscious bias, right? Because it's not just men and women, it's also different culture too as well. Because for myself, when I was raised very Asian. I'm not supposed to speak up. And not because I'm shy, not because I don't have anything to do, it's a sign of respect, right? And in this world, actually, my friends are male. I mean, I'm very comfortable with male. I can speak and shout down to them as much as they can do. We're smack talking each other all the time. So I don't have any problem with that. But big difference is that those who do not know me, and there are times suddenly we get into an argument and then I go silent. And they just assume that that's something that because I'm shy or that I'm upset or something like that. It's like, no, actually, I was quiet because I'm trying to listen. And as a sign of respect, I'm trying to process what you're thinking, right? Or, there are people like they don't want to talk because they want to process first, or it's because of the way they raise. It's like, it's like it is rude to interrupt someone. So you need to be very careful about that and do not make assumptions.
Such great advice. I love this. Another question for everyone on the panel. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome, and how did a mentor or sponsor help you overcome this? So let's start with Andrea.
Yeah, I have definitely experienced imposter syndrome, and having a mentor is very helpful because you have someone to support you, and you can like speak to them about how you're feeling, and they could give you a new perspective on your feelings. As I've said, like going into like my internships and everything, and I've often felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know why me, what's going on. And when talking to a mentor, like it's normal because then he spoke to me about how like when he was an intern, he was also experiencing the same feelings. So it just helped me reframe my thoughts and notice that I'm still learning and growing, and it's kind of like a normal feeling. And eventually, as I go on in my career, like hopefully it'll go away. And having a mentor is just like one of the key things that helped me overcome, or is helping me overcome, imposter syndrome.
Great. Nika?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I get imposter syndrome anytime I start a new job. And I think the biggest time was when I shifted to an analytics career. And when I started out, there's actually someone that was in the broader company in a team that we worked with sometimes. Started off as kind of a mentor, saying like, it's okay to feel this way. I felt this too, because they were also someone that went through a career shift. So mentorship definitely helps a lot. And actually, with John, and his name was Jonathan, and I actually work with him at another company now. He became my sponsor later on because we started to get close, and he saw my strengths and believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, and took a risk on me and sponsoring me and endorsing my skills. So that imposter syndrome and sharing that you feel that way, acknowledging that it's okay, I think that goes a long way.
Great, thanks. Angela?
Very similar to what the others said, just granting yourself grace. That is the path I am walking on this year. And with a mentee I have, we've discussed it, and I told her that was the one thing that we as women put such a weight on ourselves. And so we have this, well, I should be doing this. I'm looking like a slacker. And it really is not to the others. It's about what we're doing to ourselves. And so we have to grant ourselves grace and step back. And I love how Nika said, I definitely have had it with every job I've started. I just had a comment today with a Salesforce, senior Salesforce developer, and I said, I got it. I finally got it after a year and a half. And he laughed and he said, Angie, you got it a while ago. And it just was like, whoa. But for me, I was like, I finally understand this, one piece. And so we have to understand that there is a learning curve and we're doing our best. And we have to have that confidence within ourselves. And that's easier said than done. But once we really realize that and realize, you know what, this isn't about others' perception. This is what I'm saying about myself. That truly helps us with being able to just, okay, I have this, and moving ahead.
Great. Uma?
Yes, I think I felt it in every transition, especially when I revived my career. I felt it a lot. But what I learned from all these transitions is that it's not about how much you know already. It is about your own learning agility that makes a huge difference, and believing in that and giving yourself enough time would actually help a lot. And especially hearing from others, my own hiring manager who gave me the time, he said, you can do it. You know, you can catch up with this new tech stack, not to worry. That went a long way for me.
Great. Big Tweet?
Oh, not only did I get every new job or roles or anything, it's like sometimes I even, people are like, oh, congratulations, whatever, or you got a patent or whatever. And I'm just like, but that wasn't me. You know? I was just lucky, right? Or it's really, it's my team, right? It's like, I was really lucky to have an amazing team, an amazing boss, or I'm just lucky, right? And I'm always afraid that someday somebody's going to discover that I'm actually an imposter. That happens almost every night. And I was lucky enough to have a group of mentors, including my best friend. My best friend would tell me, he's like, okay, Vic, it is you. In terms of like, no, you're wrong. Either I'm wrong because I'm not doing it right, or they're wrong or whatever. So he gave me like an honest. So being able to have somebody give me an honest feedback is actually very constructive and helpful for me. But at the same time, I also have a group of women who goes in and tell me, it's like, support me emotionally, psychologically. It's like, no, don't pay attention to them because they're for whatever reason, right? So to have that kind of support. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be very different for everybody, because we all say that, like you said, it's like it's easier said than done. So me as an engineer, what I discovered my best way for me to handle my imposter syndrome is not to focus on that at all. Not to focus on what it is that I'm afraid of. It's like, okay, what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, whether it's a new role or job. And they said, what's the first step? So I just focus like, here's the game plan. What's the first step? Let's get that done. What's the next step? So I actually be able to overcome a lot of it just by focusing on what it is that I need to do and get it done. And then I forget about it, because when I'm trying to accomplish something, then I become really fearless.
Great, thank you. Thank you all. So I want to spend a little bit of time going back to sponsorship. Some of you mentioned this a little bit, but I'm interested in finding out more about how you secure a sponsor, because that seems to be a little bit more intimidating than securing a mentor. You want to start with that, Big Twee?
Sure. Getting a sponsorship is extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie, right? Because there's a lot of mentorship program that's out there, but there's reasons why you don't see a lot of sponsorship. And the reasons for that is because relationship is extremely important, having that trust. And in order to build that trust where somebody can put their name and their reputation out there, in order to sponsor you, they need to understand that, one, you're a performer, right? You consistently perform, right? That you're adding value, that you're indispensable. The second thing is that you need to get exposure, right? In order for them to notice you, in order to get the sponsorship, you need to be out there, so that unfortunately, you can't be that shy person. I'm afraid to be out on stage, to be honest. This scares me, by the way, right? I get nervous. But by putting yourself out there in order to get noticed, to get recognition, is very important. And then last but not least, what I've mentioned before, share your goal. They're not going to be able to read your mind. They don't know if they can help you or not. So if you show that you have performance, you show that putting yourself out there so they notice you, you show that you have a drive, that you have a goal in mind, and then you can, when you share the goal, say, this is what I need help with, say, you know what, I can do that, right? And then when you say, okay, I can do this, and that relationship there, building over time, is going to be able to help you get that sponsorship. And it is not too late to start that, right? Even if you're just a new, even if you're in high school, or you just graduated from college, or whatever the case may be, start building it by start performing well, start getting that exposure, start building your name brand. You may come and go, you might have a different job, but your reputation and who you are is going to follow you everywhere. So start building that name brand, and building up that networking is going to be very important.
Great, thank you. Any other panelists have something to add?
Yeah, it's really hard to get a sponsor, and it makes sense why, right? But one thing I would add to that is find a mentor first. They'll help guide you on how to do that, how to build confidence in yourself first, how to figure out what you want, your goals, and then one of the main things that you have to have in order to get a sponsor is that being vocal about your ambitions and your goals. So definitely, I think first step that helped me is finding a mentor.
I would add one thing to that is also if you have an opportunity to take up a stretch assignment, please do, so that another team or someone else who's like the stretch assignment is like outside of what you're normally doing, so that it gives an opportunity for others to know about you.
Grab the opportunity.
Great, thank you. I want to shift gears a little bit and think about both mentorship and sponsorship for those who are switching careers, and also those potentially who have gaps in their timeline. So, what insights do you have for folks in those situations? A little bit of an unconventional resume. Uma, do you want to start?
Sure, I've been there myself. So first is like, it is important to leverage the courses. I think right now there are many opportunities out there to educational resources, especially like, there are courses offered by Coursera and Pluralsight. There are many educational resources that we could leverage to get our skills updated. And again, if there is an opportunity for a stretch assignment or a volunteer assignment, take it, do it to prove to others that you can do it. And apply for as many interviews as possible. Every interview is a learning experience. And it's okay if you don't make it the first few times. Give yourself that extra time to, learn. And that helped me, so.
Uma, how did your mentors help you with this, these transitions?
So when I took my career break, when I wanted to revive my career, at that time, I did not have a mentor because I wasn't part of any organization at that time. I would say, if we call our friends as mentors, yes, many of my friends encouraged me, gave me the confidence that I still have it in me to revive my career. So please reach out to your friends who are in the workforce. They'll be a great guide to help you get prepared.
Yeah, that's a good point, because thinking back of when I pivoted from engineering to analytics, it's not like I was relying on people above me. It was peers that I may have went to school with that were in similar fields that I wanted to get into. So getting recommendations from them, getting advice from them, those are your mentors too. That's like a really good point. I think, Victor, you mentioned it before, that it doesn't have to be someone that's above you in your career.
Yeah, Victor?
Yes, actually, I was told I was 2 years from making an essential partnership. And then I had a career break, and I had to make a decision as to whether I want to raise a family or a career, and it was to have a family. And because of that, I have a 6 years career break before I got back into the workforce, and I'm actually going through one right now, another one right now, as a matter of fact. So let's talk about career break. It was a difficult journey for me. The reasons why there's a career break is because the kids had medical issues. It was very demanding. So to go in and saying that I would love to volunteer, have a part-time job, have something you can do remotely, all of that. I looked into that. It was impossible. So the next thing I did is that understanding that I actually did a lot of what's called information interview. So essentially I go out and say, I'm not here to look for a job. I just want to understand what are the type of careers that are out there for somebody like myself. I interview a lot of women who has taken a career break, who are in the same situation myself, who are in the tech world and coming back. How long did it take them? What kind of skills? What did they have to do? So I discovered that for somebody like myself, in order to go back to career and not start all over again from scratch, it takes at least 2 years before they actually land a job. So 2 years before I want to go back into the workforce, I started networking. I started looking at technology, understand the lingos, try to fill that gap, because as you know, in technology, it changes very fast. So I can't keep up in 6 years, but within the 2 years, I was able to catch up on what's called now big data, right? Back then, it just came out. Nobody knew what it was about. But luckily for me, with my background, I was able to catch up on it very fast, and I landed my job in 2 years. But I landed as a manager and not as a startup, not starting fresh. And then now I'm going through I'm taking a sabbatical because my in-laws, who are in their late 80s, need some help. And let's just leave it at that, right? And knowing that, I'm in a fortunate situation where I can't keep up with technology because it's only been a year. But I'll be able to keep up with technology, and now I can. And during that time, I actually took the opportunity to refresh myself too, because all this time I've been taking care of the work. People worked for me, everybody else but me. So this is my opportunity to not only take care of my in-laws, but also get some needed rest and sleep. Anybody who follow me on LinkedIn would see me advocate, like, please get yourself some sleep. Do not slack on that. You need to that for your brain, your mental, emotional, psychological. You cannot function without it, and neither can your friends and families.
Fantastic. Angela, do you have anything to add to that?
I was thinking as they were talking, I just want people to please value the relationships that you build as you move from organization to organization, or as you're doing your schooling, whatever. There have been times that I have reached out to those who I previously worked with 10 plus years. LinkedIn is a great resource for being able to, if there are organizations you're interested in, just being able to see who you may know that works at those organizations, but also reaching back out to those individuals, and they sometimes, expressing to them the area of where you're looking into going, or what maybe I would like to, I love how someone said about the networking, or I'd like to sit down and just let's connect. I love the word connect. Let's connect. And let me tell you where I'm thinking about going. People who are currently in those positions that and know of your work. I am very big about that relationship building and maintaining our connection, our network. It doesn't mean that you necessarily talk to them or you even converse with them, but just making sure that you keep that dotted line. So if you need to reach out to them, don't hesitate to, because again, we underestimate how willing people really are to support us. It's just that we have to use our voice in regards to reaching out to them and asking, even if we don't know exactly what it is we want, just being able to speak to them, because don't forget, they have connections themselves, and so they can still be a great advocate for you.
Great, thank you. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about, what makes a great mentoring program? What kind of tips do you have, or what have you seen? And I'm going to stay with you, Angela, and start with you on this question.
I'm in a mentoring program now. What I really liked is the questions they asked of the mentors as well as the mentees. And the person who who they matched me up with, the mentee that I have, is someone who's definitely made a career change into technology. We have some of the very similar paths that we've led, as well as some of the challenges she's experiencing. I definitely have. And I know that this match was able to be made due to the in-depth questions that they asked. Some of the questions, I feel that in the questions they asked me, and then she actually expressed or showed me some of the questions that she was asked, they weren't just the general flat answer, but it allowed them to be able to really peer into maybe things that she wasn't aware of, other areas she might need assistance with. So that is it, really kind of trying to identify or connect or understand the mentors and mentees who are going to be in that program.
Great. Big Twee, do you have something to add with this?
I really love the opportunity to be both a mentee and a mentor. And the one thing that are in common is that take advantage of each other's time, right? You're there. I mean, you can always have coffee, you can always build a relationship, friendship, and during all the time. But when you make sure you dedicate the time, that you're actually doing mentorship with a goal in mind. And to me, that is one of the biggest helpful thing in the world, is that when I go to my mentor, I have a very specific goal in mind. It's like, I have this problem I need to solve. I would love to get your thoughts, right? And be very clear about that, and vice versa. Because some of the things that I found rewarding as a mentor is to have a mentee comes in and say, here's the problem I need to solve. Or maybe if you don't even know what the problem you're trying to solve, like, look, I have this problem at work, I don't even know, or I'm landing a new job, I don't even know how to begin, right? I don't even know what question to ask you. And that's okay to say that, right? But the idea is to come in with a goal in mind, and even if you don't know exactly what question to ask, just by sharing that, you know, your mentor might have all the experience, might have the experiences. Like, for an example, Angela, you know, a lot of people come to me and ask us, like, I'm not in technology. Where do I start? So, well, the good news is you don't have to be a developer in order to start technology. If you are creative, you can go into user interface. You can be a manager in project management. There's a lot of careers and opportunity out there. You know, there's a reasons why if you look at technology, like Google, whatever, you can look in there and you'll see that there's a lot of non-technical roles in the technology company and all that. So there are rooms for you, but you need to start by understanding what it is that you need and communicate that out.
Andrea?
Yeah, as a part of the mentorship program that I'm in school, like we have these principles that we follow, and it's like active listening, active like speaking, having the confidence like to be vulnerable, and like just knowing like that you're gonna be there for the person that's like looking for help. Also, like to know the limits, like if your mentee is asking you something that you don't really know about, you like acknowledge like, okay, I'm not really sure, but let me guide you towards someone that can help you. And I just really like the program, and I think that the mentee mentor relationship really benefits from the values that we follow.
Fantastic. Anyone else want to add anything? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
It's okay. I think it's, you know, I think many of them covered a lot of points I had in mind. One thing to add to that is mentor. It's really helpful when the mentor loves to coach, teach, you know, if they're truly interested in developing people. And if the organization has other resources that are available for the mentors to help and guide the mentees, that would also add to the success of the mentoring program.
I think, Uma, you hit it right on the nail. I love it when you say that, you know, as a mentor, you know, when I'm a mentor, my job really is to make you successful. How am I here to help you? You know, and having that mindset, I think, is going to be of value to everyone, including yourself as a mentor.
Thank you.
Great. We're getting to the end here. And so I'd like to ask each panelist if you had one piece of advice that you would consider, you know, the most impactful to provide to the audience. What would it be? And I'm going to start with Nika.
One thing, if everyone can go away from this with one thing, for me, I would encourage everyone to connect with people on this panel. I mean, this was a great opportunity for finding potential mentors, mentees. Mentorship doesn't have to be so formal. So don't be afraid to reach out, to start connecting with people, because that's really the first step.
Great advice. Uma?
Sure. I think as many of us tend to do, including myself, we often tend to work heads down. We're passionate about what we are working on, we're dedicated, but often we don't take the time to actively network. And give others an opportunity to know more about who we are, what our aspirations are, what our strengths are. So I think it is important to allocate time for that. I think that's something we need to consciously do. And that's an advice to myself as well.
Great. Big Tweet?
I am terrible at this. And I know for years, and I'm still terrible at it, is that I tend to be heads down and not keep up with my networking at all and taking care of myself. I really am. And I have to remind myself, it's like sometimes, like, if you don't take care of yourself, it's just like, you know how you're in an airline, like in case of emergency, the oxygen mask come down, put it on yourself first. Otherwise, your toddler, your baby's not going to you won't be able to help your toddler baby to pass out type of situation. So I'm really terrible at not keeping up with my network. And then by the time I said, oh, okay, now that I'm in this career break, I love to reach out to people. Then I feel awkward because, oh, gee, I haven't reached out in a long time. They might think that I want to have a job. And honestly, I don't. I just want to reach out, right? And it makes, as an Asian, that makes it even more awkward for me. So don't do that. Keep in touch and don't be shy.
Great. Angela?
It's kind of funny. It's in harmony with our comment is maintain those relationships. There are people that I've worked with, honestly, over 20 years that I still will every now and then just send a text and be like, hey, how you doing? Or I see something that they did on LinkedIn and I like it and I comment on it. Congratulations. Just did that a couple of days ago. Someone I haven't spoken to in many, many years, but just still recognize the value of those relationships and use your voice, express yourself. A lot of times we feel that what we're going through is a challenge that no one else understands, or we feel guilty of the way we feel. No, there are many others who have walked the same path, who have been through those same challenges, regardless of how you may feel that it is just you. It is not just you. So build those relationships and find those confidants who you feel comfortable with speaking with, and they will be able to help you as you be able to identify what it is you want to do and be able to build that confidence within yourself to be able to help you get to that next level.
Great. Andrea?
Yeah, as a student, or if there's any students listening, I would say to take advantage of like peer mentoring, because having people that relate to you as being a student is very important. And also there's opportunities to like network in career fairs and maybe summits. And being a student, you could go on LinkedIn and look up anyone that went to the same school, and you can reach out to them. And there's just so many opportunities that can be like found just by the fact that you go to the school. And I would say just don't be afraid to go out there and look for someone to help you achieve your goals, especially if you know what you want to do, or if you're still trying to figure out. I'd say just go out there and ask questions. And being a student, you have the very unique position of being able to say, this is what I'm interested in, and this is what I'm trying to do.
That is absolutely wonderful advice, Andrea, especially since many of us are introverts. So that really helps a lot. At this point, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the panel. I want to take a minute and thank all our panelists. You have been absolutely amazing and imparted lots of wisdom. Thanks to the audience for all their great questions. And also thanks to Erica, Yolanda, and Scott from the College of Computing, who organized this and kept everything running smoothly. Erica, do you have any final words?
I do. Actually, we were going to have Yolanda come on the screen. She's going to email everyone the post-event survey and also make sure that this video is available to all of the participants and those who have registered for this event. So we just want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you a happy and safe weekend. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.